All right, for reaction, let's welcome in our panelists. We're joined by the Director of Membership Development for Project 21 Black Leadership Network, Donna Jackson. Also with us is trial attorney Barack Lurie, alongside the host of This Is America podcast with Rich Valdez. Panelists, nice to see you today on this primary day. Thanks so much for taking the time. Donna, if we could, we'll just start with you and your overall reaction to really the top issue that's weighing on voters' minds today. We heard from our panelists there that crime appeared to be at least in the top.
One issue is actually inflation and how it's hurting Black families. You know, we see working class families now becoming the working poor because they have to go to soup lines and they have to go to kitchens to be able to feed their family. So that's number one. And then second, not only can I not eat, but now I got to worry about a criminal coming up to me and taking the little bit that I have. So those are going to be the top issues facing voters this primary season.
You talk about inflation. CNN had an exclusive with Vice President Kamala Harris. Here was her answer to inflation and what the administration is doing.
Now, inflation is really high. Are you concerned about a recession? The administration said that they weren't that worried about inflation, and then that changed.
I think that there can be no higher priority than what we have been clear is our highest priority, which is bringing down the costs and the prices as much as we possibly can, and we will stay focused on that.
Barack Lurie, your response to that, sir?
Well, I mean, she's fascinating because she really gives a non-answer. It's always a non-answer with her. Her answer is usually, well, we'll do something about it. We're going to do something about it. This is very similar to what she said about getting to the root cause of the illegal immigration border crisis, right? So it's a whole lot of nothing. She says nothing about these things. I mean, the reality is that inflation is going to be a very serious issue in November. It's one of the things, including the crime issue, that people actually see in their ordinary days and lives. This is not something that you can simply pass off and pretend is not happening, or is something that is happening far away, such as a war in Afghanistan or otherwise. You cannot lie about this. This is impacting people's everyday lives.
She said, I think there can be no higher priority. And now I'm going to hear myself echo. Then what is clear than our highest priority? Rich, you know, do you see action that matches up with that actual sentiment from the Biden administration that this is really their focus?
Lamentably, I'm fluent in Democrat, so I can explain exactly what she's saying. What she's saying is that this is their highest priority to bring down prices, meaning they're going to try and spend their way out of inflation one way or another. They're going to try and send some sort of relief check, some sort of tax credit. I would guess that this is what they're going to try and do to bring down prices, or they're going to try and strong arm the gas companies and every other company that they could find to say, hey, you're going to have to lower your prices, and they're going to use the strong arm of the government to do it. This is how they're going to try and fix things in the long term, but in the short term. But in the long term, you really can't spend your way out of inflation, which is why we got here to begin with. So I think this is a recipe for disaster.
And you pull it back again, going back to the primaries here, you wait for the Trump endorsement, right? The Trump endorsement, that seems to be the one that every Republican either seeks during the campaign. But when you look at Democrats, you don't hear, I've got the endorsement of President Biden. We'll show you this. CBS News YouGov poll showing President Biden receiving poor remarks on numerous issues. But if you look at the very top, 66% of Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of the economy. 70% disapprove of the commander-in-chief's handling of inflation. Donna Jackson, I'll go to you on this. And would this be why many running for Democratic seats are not seeking the endorsement of the current sitting president?
Absolutely. You know, if you just had high gas prices or energy prices or even shortages in baby food, then you can say maybe this was a coincidence. But what you can tell is that this president has done everything wrong to destroy this economy, and he has no inkling of changing course. He continues to create the same policies thinking that he's going to get a different result. And that's a disaster for anyone wanting to be under that umbrella.
All right. Interesting discussion here with our panelists as we start hour 3 of National Report. Stay with us. Still a lot more to cover.